All right, and here we are. It's the final part of our conversation with Raila Odinga here, who's the NASA presidential flag bearer, and we've talked about a number of issues. I think my final question to you would be, you're talking about the commission being under duress by Jubilee. But the same accusation goes for you. I mean, the Deputy President, William Ruto, has talked about some night meetings that you have had with Mr. Wafula Chebukati. So with all of these allegations back and forth, you say they're under duress from Jubilee. Jubilee says equally the same thing. Who are we to trust? And even as you answer that one, then let's talk about, the final reforms, because this was the one moment that you have raised issues with the electoral management in this country, and that the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, has agreed with you. So even as you talk to us about who to trust, then what happens now going forward? There's irreducible minimums. We talk about electoral reforms, be it systems, be it people. What's the way forward?
First, allegations of so-called night meetings between the chairman and NASA have been very ably answered by Mr. Chebukati. I don't need...
I'm asking you. I'm not speaking to Mr. Chebukati, Mr. Odinga.
That direction. I concur with what he said. I said that that is hogwash. The no night meetings, there have been none. Those are the matters that exist just in the rich imaginations of Mr. Ruto's mind. We don't need to have night meetings. If you want to see the chairman, you go to his office, or we'll invite him to come to our offices.
Likewise, would it not be said that your allegations of Jubilee putting the commissioners under duress would fall within the same category? You've used some strong words here, hogwash. How are we to believe that what you say is the truth?
You just need to put 2 plus 2 and no. Mr. Chebukati wakes up one day and says that these officers should have nothing to do with these repeat elections. I'm putting them aside. I'm appointing a new team. He appointed a new team and said these ones will act directly under me as a returning officer. And goes on now to write a letter to the chief executive detailing out issues which went wrong, which basically agrees with what we had taken to court, because all those issues we had raised them. But he even raised other issues which we had not raised, like the issues of the satellite phones, which never functioned, and so on. And those issues have not been addressed. Very grave issues indeed, in terms of compromising the electoral process. Because if you're talking about, it's confirming the hacking, which, by the way, we had found ourselves. If we look at the report, which we tabled in the court, which had withdrawn, all that information in Mr. Chebukati's memo were contained in that report. So then all of a sudden they come up and say all these differences have been ironed out. You ask yourself, how have they resolved those issues? Those people who are responsible for hacking are criminals who should be prosecuted.
So how do we move from here with respect to putting in place the right structures and having a free and fair, credible process? This is something that has beleaguered the country for quite some time. We went in and changed the commissioners. We put in place some systems. We amended the IEBC Act, and now here we are again. So what next?
So Yvonne, I have said several times, in 2007, I said the elections were rigged. In 2013, I again said they were rigged. 2013, the court did not even open our evidence. We had compelling evidence in the 960 pages which the court decided to be expunged in the court register. Did not believe us. This time around, at least the court agreed to listen to our evidence and look at it, and it is so that it was compelling. That's why the court had no other option but to nullify the elections. So what we are saying is that this matter must be fixed now. If you don't fix it, then next time around, you're only going to get 10 to 20% turnout in the elections. This is what is happening in countries where we now have what we call electoral autocracy, where the people have given up on the ballots, so the incumbencies convene elections, 10 to 20% of people turn out, they get 98% of those 10% or 20%, and it's a cycle like that. People have lost faith. There is apathy.
Could that, in a reverse way, be due to your raising electoral processes, issues with the electoral processes? Do you think that could come back to hurt you in a reverse sort of way, raising all of these issues to the extent that your supporters feel that this process is rigged anyway, the system is rigged, so why bother?
So unless and until it is fixed, people will have no faith. That's why we are saying this time around, we are taking no half measures. This time around, it must be fixed properly, so that we have proper elections. By the way, Jubilee knows that they cannot win if the elections are held in a proper way. That's why Uhuru Kenyatta is already given up. He's saying that he's only going to try to impeach me after I've beaten him. So he already knows that he's already been beaten. There's no way that he can beat me unless he rigs the elections.
All right, I think we will leave it at that for now. Thank you very much, Mr. Raila Odinga, the NASA presidential flag bearer, who says it's not a boycott. He will be on the ballot. 17th, you talk about enough time, maybe till the end of October. That's our conversation. We thank you very much for watching KTN Prime this evening. Please do keep your comments coming in as we wait to see what happens 34 days from today. My name is Yvonne Okwara Matole. Good night.